Samuel, you've come to say goodbye.
Oh, no. I've come to give those thieving vultures a piece of my mind. So, you've really gone and done it. A fine pair you are. And you, Harold, I wouldn't believe Jean Denham's boy could sing so low.
Please, Samuel.
Quiet, Agatha. If you'd only come to me when you needed a lawyer, these good-for-nothings wouldn't be turning you off your own property. Don't make yourselves too comfortable here. Your tenure isn't going to be a long one.
The law's on our side, Mr. Putnam.
Is it now? Well, you are never going to get the good of this place. I'll personally burn it down to its foundation first.
Samuel.
Yes, by Jehoshaphat. And enjoy doing it, too.
A summer sprinkle and a tropical storm. Each begins with but one drop of rain. The raindrop in this instance was a voice that sounded vaguely familiar.
What fool kind of surprise it'd be if you announced me?
Casey, will you see what's going on out there?
Certainly. Why, Samuel Abercrombie Putnam.
Casey herself. What are you doing in Herb's office?
I'm working here.
You are? That's the best news I've heard since old Judge Trumbull fell off his swivel chair while sleeping through a case. You're going to be a great help to me, Casey girl.
Don't tell me you're back in harness.
With both flat feet. That's a surprise to you, Herbie, huh?
It certainly is. How are you, Mr. Putnam?
Oh, it's good to see you again. My, you have grown. Darned if you don't look just like your father. Darned if you don't. Oh, Herbie, you don't mind if I use your law library a spell, do you?
Oh, of course not. Simple enough thing to do for a friend.
I knew I could count on you, and I won't be disturbing you a bit. I'll bury myself in the reports, and you won't even know I'm here. Give me a hand, will you, Herbie? Here's yours, Casey. Where is it?
What?
The library.
Through my office.
Thank you. Mind the eggs.
What are the groceries for?
When I work on the case, I never take any time off.
And the suitcase?
Oh, just a few odds and ends I may be needing.
What sort of case are you working on, Mr. Putnam?
Oh, a real doozy, Herbie. Let me tell you about it. You don't know Agatha Wentworth, do you? I guess you don't get outside of Phil much these days, do you?
No.
Well, I've known Agatha 36 years. Ever since she came to live to town with her father. Excuse me. Well, her father was a client of mine. Died last year. Only 78. Excuse me. Well, the family farm was left to Agatha. Oh, by the way, do you have a good text on real property law? Excuse me.
Yes, sir.
Fine. Let's see, where was I? Oh, yes. About 10 years ago, Agatha's father borrowed a few thousand from a neighbor, Jean Denham. He gave Denham a deed to the property as security. Get it?
Not unusual.
Oh, well, the money was paid back, of course, but somehow Denham never got around to returning that deed. Well, this year, Agatha spent every cent she had on converting the farm into a motor court. Well, when she was finished, what do you think happened?
Denham's heirs produced the deed and claimed the motor court.
Right. Denham's son, Harold. Well, Agatha hired a young lawyer, didn't know too much, fought the case and lost. When I heard, it made me so sore I could spit nails. So I'm taking an appeal. And I'm digging in here till I got an appeal brief written. How's this for sleeping on?
Mr. Putnam, you know you're welcome here, but why don't you let me file the appeal?
Ain't that simple. Since a week ago last night, there's been insurance money involved.
What insurance?
Fire insurance. Somebody burned the whole blasted place down. Served that young Denham right, too.
Somebody burned the place down. You mean the fire wasn't accidental?
Arson.
Have the Ciderville police made an arrest yet?
Not yet.
Do they have a suspect?
Oh, sure have, but he's on the lam.
On the lam. This suspect, he wouldn't just happen to be you.
I'm a police officer, Herb. I can't help a fugitive from justice, and you shouldn't be asking me to. I've sworn to uphold the law.
So have I. All I want you to do is go in and say hello before you drag him downtown, book him, and throw him in the tank with hardened criminals.
All right.
Mr. Putnam, I want you to meet a friend of mine, John Weston. John, this is Samuel Abercrombie Putnam.
Oh, pleasure to meet you, Mr. Weston. A great pleasure. You a lawyer?
No.
Oh, a great profession. Any lawyer worthy of assault is a man to be respected. Champion of the oppressed, advocate of justice, defender of freedom. I pride myself on being one.
Mr. Putnam, I came...
Well, it's been nice meeting you, Mr. Weston. I'd like to stay and chat, but I'm working on a case right now, and I've got a little pressure on me. A good woman being swindled out of her life savings.
What kind of pressure, Mr. Putnam?
Well, a man my age can't afford a dawdle if he wants to see justice. Now, can he, Mr. Weston? Where were we, Casey?
Samuel, if you'll pardon me a minute, I want to talk to Mr. Maris.
Well, hurry up.
John. Look, just because I didn't clamp the cuffs on him doesn't mean that I'm going to walk out of here without him.
Oh, you saw him, John.
Oh, I saw him.
You think he's guilty of arson?
Well, apparently the Ciderville police believe it.
Lieutenant Weston,
All right, Casey, what is it?
from the little that you've seen of Samuel, do you think that he sincerely believes, given the right opportunity, he can win his case?
Casey, I'll carry it a step further. I'd say, given the right opportunity, he would probably expect to elude the police indefinitely.
Then why would he destroy property representing a lifetime savings?
Now, wait a minute. What is this, a conspiracy?
24 hours to prove the Ciderville police are wrong. How about it?
All right, Herb, but I'll have to put a man in your outer office.
By all means. Now, the first person I want to talk to is Agatha Wentworth.
Oh, wait a minute. I'm not going
to
to
Ciderville in 20 minutes.
I tell you, Herb, I'm not going to
Good boy, John. Good.
Honestly, I'm not. Wait a minute. Herb, just a minute. First, you talked me into driving down here with you. Now you want me to get down to the Ciderville City Hall and talk to the fire chief. Nothing doing.
I'm only trying to save time. Remember, I only have 24 hours.
All right, Herb, if it's time you want to save. You talk to the fire chief, I'll talk to the Wentworth woman. You're entirely too sympathetic anyway.
Oh, all right, but don't be rough on her. Remember the kind of woman she is.
I'll remember. And I won't be swayed by sentiment either.
I'll pick you up in an hour.
Miss Wentworth? Miss Wentworth?
You darn right. She sure is a beauty. Ain't many know enough to appreciate her. She's helped keep some mighty big buildings standing.
How is it you didn't save that motel outside of town?
Well, now, you see, we're just a volunteer outfit. I'm the only paid member, and an arson job goes mighty quick.
Arson?
You bet. Prettiest fire I've been to in months. You know, there's something about a fire in the middle of the night that kind of gets to you. Engine roaring, sirens screaming, traffic scattering. Boy, it gets you right here.
Do you have many fires here in Sidersville?
Oh, we have our quota.
Who was it? Was it you that discovered it was arson?
Well, me and my brother-in-law. Kerosene job. And you know who done it? An old man, barely able to walk. Sore because Harold Denham took the place away from a friend of his in a lawsuit.
What makes you think the old man did it?
Well, everybody in town knew he threatened to. Then we found a can of kerosene in his garage.
It's kind of circumstantial, isn't it?
Maybe. But one thing it isn't, though. He's a fugitive. Slipped out of town just as soon as he was indicted.
Did anybody else have a motive?
Sure, Harold Denham. But he was in the hospital with asthma. Still is. Besides, the insurance company was satisfied he was in the clear.
Well, what about a firebug?
Firebug? You mean someone that gets a thrill out of seeing a fire? Nope. Ain't none in this town, or my brother-in-law would have locked him up.
Your brother-in-law?
Yep. Chief of police.
Oh, I see. Well, thanks for talking to me, Mr. Carson. I appreciate your meeting me, Mr. Denham.
I can use the fresh air, Mr. Maris. What's on your mind?
I'd like to talk to your husband, if I may.
Why, of course. I feel so sorry for Harold, cooped up there in that hospital room.
I suppose you have spent a good deal of time here.
Oh, I do go home nights. Most of the time, anyway. Mr. Maris, if you're representing Samuel Putnam, you must be in touch with him. Oh, I don't want to know where he is. I do wish you'd tell him how dreadfully sorry I am about everything. Indicting a poor old man on an arson charge. Why, it's ridiculous.
You don't think he's guilty?
Oh, I suspect it was an accident, Mr. Maris.
Well, I'm surprised to hear you arguing in Mr. Putnam's behalf.
Because of his crusade over Agatha's interests? Why, it's so typical, I can't even get upset about it.
Who else would have a reason for destroying your motor court?
I hate to say we've got any proof.
Yes?
Well, everyone thinks because she's so religious and she does so much work for a foreign mission that she's beyond suspicion.
You mean Miss Wentworth? Well, I suppose she did have a motive, but then to be blunt about it, so did your husband.
The insurance? $20,000 couldn't begin to help our losses.
Though it wasn't your loss, was it? Actually, it was Miss Wentworth's investment that was destroyed.
Well, I suppose you could say that, Mr. Maris. But the fact remains that Harold gained nothing from the fire. And anyway, he was in the hospital at the time.
And you were with him?
Well, until the fire. Then, of course, I went up there to see if there was anything to be salvaged.
Well, I tell you, Mr. Maris, last couple of weeks, all I could think about was that fire. And right now, all I've got in my mind is getting out of here so I can get something I can eat. Would you mind pushing that down to the foot of the bed?
When did these attacks start?
Oh, about 2-3 years ago.
And you were living in the city then?
Yeah. City's what I figured brought them on. I wanted to go back to the country, but Elaine didn't.
So you stayed?
Then we did. This year, she finally saw it my way.
And your wife is now reconciled to living in the country?
Well, she keeps on. Oh, sure. We're here now. We're settled. We're going to build a new motel right there on that property.
I had news for Weston. 2 fresh suspects. A fireman who might be a firebug, and Harold Denham, who could easily have slipped out of his window at the hospital and set the fire himself, if his wife's happiness meant that much to him. Weston had news of his own. While he'd failed to locate Agatha Wentworth, his search hadn't been entirely in vain.
Well, Herb, the manager of a rooming house said that she got a call from our honorable champion of the oppressed, Samuel Abercrombie Putnam, as I figured about 10 minutes after we left your office. He said he called her to the phone and he recognized Putnam's voice.
No, there's nothing wrong with a lawyer calling his client.
Well, Herb, it's the result of the call I'm concerned with. Believe me, I know Miss Wentworth is in that room right now. But why didn't she answer my knock on the door? Because she was advised not to.
I underestimated him. He may be an old man, but he still has his powers of perception. He must have known that I wouldn't let the matter drop. And I wouldn't be surprised but that he knew you were a policeman, John.
Yeah.
You remember, you asked the right question, but you didn't get the right answer.
I remember her. I also remember making the remark that with the right opportunity, he would probably expect to elude the police indefinitely.
There's not going to be another opportunity. I'm going to talk to Agatha Wentworth, and I don't intend to camp on her doorstep to do it.
You can afford to laugh. You haven't had to live with him.
He's really been working, hasn't he?
As if a demon were in him.
Has he made any progress?
See all these books? He hasn't even found a single precedent.
What the dickens? Casey, I thought I told you 10 minutes. It's 3/4 of an hour. Oh, you're back. By the way, where's your Wigmore? I don't like to complain, but the justice and the order in this library. Will you gentlemen join me?
We'd like to talk to you about the arson case, Mr. Putnam.
Oh, don't let's worry about that.
Why? Because you know it was Agatha Wentworth that set fire to the motor car?
Where did you get that bit of misinformation?
Well, you can't keep everybody in Ciderville from talking.
So, that's it. The minute my back's turned, you and this policeman... Oh, I know a policeman when I see one, and there's another one outside, too. You go poking your nose into my affairs. Well, let me tell you something, Herbie. Agatha Wentworth will never go to trial. Not if I have to plead guilty.
Then she did do it,
I didn't say that. And if you knew Agatha, you know better than to make a silly accusation like that.
There's nothing silly about revenge. It's a basic human failing, a common motive for arson.
Where is she, Mr. Putnam?
You're a cop, find out.
Mr. Putnam, either you tell me where she is, or I'll have to take you downtown and book you.
Well, she's at home. She's been there all the time.
Well, Miss Wentworth?
I'd like nothing better than to keep Mr. Putnam from going to jail, but really, there's nothing I can tell you, Mr. Maris.
Miss Wentworth, all we want is an answer to our question. Did you set fire to the motor court?
Questions, questions. How great a matter a little fire kindleth.
Miss Wentworth, that's a quotation from the scriptures, according to St. James, but it doesn't answer the question.
The Bible teaches us so much. And since you recognize that quotation, you must also remember what Jeremiah said. The Lord went before them by day in a pillar of a cloud to lead them the way, and by night in a pillar of fire.
Miss Wentworth, don't you realize you stand in danger of being indicted for arson?
But Mr. Putnam has been indicted. Surely one scapegoat is enough.
Then you're content to let Mr. Putnam be a scapegoat?
Oh, no, I didn't say that. Mr. Putnam told me to say nothing, and here I am chattering like a jaybird.
Miss Wentworth, perhaps you don't understand. All we're asking you to do is to deny having set the fire, if you're innocent.
You wouldn't be satisfied with the denial, Mr. Maris. You'd ask me who else had a motive, who had bitterness or envy or wickedness in their hearts. You'd be searching for evil, not good. And I won't be a party to that.
Not even for Mr. Putnam?
I shall continue to pray for Samuel with all my heart, Mr. Maris.
Well, did she or didn't she?
You know, when I talk to a witness, it usually helps clear things up, but after that strange interlude, I don't know what to think.
Well, let's say just for the sake of argument that neither of them did it.
Well, we still have George Carson to find.
If he's the firebug, and not just a man who enjoys his work.
Yes, and we have Harold Denham.
Unless...
Unless what?
Would you go on down to the hospital and talk to Denham? Maybe you can get another slant on him.
All right, Herb, I'll do that, but I repeat again, unless what?
Well, I just had an idea. I'm going to check on the branch offices of the insurance company and the bank.
timing's great.
Denham's just got himself discharged.
I just found out. How did you know?
An educated guess. The insurance company paid off. The Denhams have cashed the check. Cashed it, not deposited it. $20,000 is a lot of cash to have on hand.
Listen, they could be clearing out.
Let's go.
Elaine? 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 Where are you, honey?
Why, Harold, what are you doing home?
Oh, I decided I'd had enough of that hospital.
You decided. You know what the doctor said.
I don't care what he says. You can take just as good care of me as they can.
I'm taking you back right now.
No, you're not. I'm not going.
You're being very foolish.
Because I'd rather be home with you.
But what if you had an attack? I don't even have any medicine for you.
Well, the drugstore has my prescription on file.
All right. But you better go down and get it right away.
First, I'm not well enough to be home, and then you want to send me on an errand. I'm really not up to it, honey. You go, huh?
Please, Harold, let me take you back to the hospital.
Just get the medicine, please.
Well, at least go upstairs and lie down. Please, Harold.
All right. Oh, Elaine. Elaine. Get the medicine. Who is it?
Mr. Maris.
Oh, come in. What brings you here?
Mr. Denham. This is Lieutenant Weston of the police department.
How do you do?
How do you do?
Mr. Maris, what'd you do? Go by the hospital and find out I'd come home?
That's right.
Where's your wife, Mr. Denham?
She went to the drugstore to get my medicine. She'll be right back. Is there something that you
Why
want?
didn't you tell me you'd received your insurance check this morning?
Well, that's my business, isn't it?
Why'd you cash it?
Cash it. Elaine deposited that in the bank this morning.
I've just been to the bank. She cashed it. Are you sure she's coming back?
Where does your wife keep her luggage, Mr. Denham?
That's why she wanted me to go upstairs.
She'll be back.
Yeah, she'll be back. I interrupted her plans.
Plans? What plans?
Elaine's wanted to get rid of me for a long time. It isn't only the city that she's crazy about, it's a boyfriend she's got there. Where do you suppose these asthma attacks come from? Knowing all that and keeping my mouth shut just to hang on to a woman who doesn't want me.
You not only hung on to her, you protected her.
She wouldn't burn down that motel, Mr. Maris. She wouldn't do a thing like that, no matter how much money she needed. Anyway, she was with me at the hospital that night.
Could be you're alibying for your wife. Which is it, Denham?
To tell the truth, I can't swear to anything that happened that night.
What do you mean?
I had a bad attack that afternoon. They gave me some medicine. I slept through till midnight. I remember waking up and she was sitting beside the bed and she told me about the fire. The nurse had to give me some more pills.
And you couldn't be sure that she was there with you all evening, could you?
No. Maybe she wasn't. Mr. Maris, they'll have a record of giving me that medicine, won't they?
They'll have more than that. If they considered your condition serious enough for sedation in the middle of the afternoon, they'll have had somebody check on you every half hour or so.
Hello, Mr. Maris. I wasn't expecting to see you quite so soon again.
Mrs. Denham, this is Police Lieutenant Weston.
I'm placing you under arrest. Charge of arson. 'Cause 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 'cause
you think of that? The most beautiful, gall-darndest president you ever saw. And right on the nose.
Well, congratulations. And I have news for you. Huh? You're in the clear. Elaine Denham has made a full confession.
Huh? Oh, good, good. Now all I have to do is to win that appeal for Agatha. Time's a wasting, Kissy girl. Let's get on with it.